Hi guys, my name is Sean. I'm a houseplant enthusiast from Jakarta, Indonesia. I'm in Singapore now at the Garden of Russel. Journey Through Paradise is his Instagram, and he has a beautiful garden here and he has some deep love for plants. So I'm going to be asking how he collects all these plants from his gardens, how he manages everything, because he is indeed a full-time lawyer. And then we also will look at his collection in closer details to see some fantastic foliage here.
Hi everyone, my name is Russell and welcome to my garden. I've been in this garden for 12 years now, and it has changed quite a bit from the first time. So I share this garden with 4 dogs and 2 chickens. I've got a little pond as well, and we've got a couple of turtles in there, and 1 monitor lizard that's lurking somewhere.
Ooh, cute. And I understand today when I arrived, Terry dropped off a turtle, so it's a new addition to your family.
Yeah, so Terry found this abandoned red slider terrapin in his garden, and he was just posting on IG to see if anyone wants it. Yeah. If not, he was gonna get ACRES, which is this government agency, to sort of collect it and pick it up. I thought, no, I'm happy to take it over. I've got enough space for it, so he brought it in today. Growing up as a single child, I've always had animals. Just growing up with them and looking after them. At one point I had 10 cats. I had probably 70 hamsters and mice.
With your parents, at your parents,
yeah.
when you, oh wow.
Yeah. Back when I was in primary school and secondary school, I had birds, I had them laying eggs and stuff. So I've always been good with animals.
Yeah.
And I think plants is sort of like comes along with it, because it's part of nature, and I feel kind of very connected to that. My life would be kind of empty without plants. I think it's always been part of my sort of part of who I am growing up, being surrounded by plants, greenery, nature. So not having them around me would feel very sterile and very artificial. I don't think I would feel complete.
I want to ask you, why do you own so many plants? What is your end goal in the plant collection?
So I have a lot of plants because, number one, I have a fairly short attention span. So it's nice to move on from one plant group to another, and then another, and then to be able to come back again to the same group of plants. The other more practical reason is the fact that some groups of plants just grow so much slower compared to others. So for example, if I only kept platyceriums, it would get pretty boring after a while because they take such a long time to grow. It's nice to have another group of plants that I can attend to, whilst the platies are there growing. So yeah, I ended up, I think with that, ended up with quite a lot of different types of plants. I don't really have an end goal, so to speak. I guess the key is to really be in a position to grow them well, and to be able to sort of incorporate them into the landscape or the gardenscape, so to speak.
So you're obsessed with growing them and growing them big? Is that your end goal here?
I mean, growing them well, making sure they're healthy, not necessarily big. I mean, big is a plus. I think sometimes it can be a double-edged sword because it can take up a lot of space. Also, it means that you have to quite regularly, fertilize your plants and pay a lot of attention to them. Fortunately, my time is quite limited these days because I have quite a lot of other things. I mean, I've got work, I've got a lot of work travel, I've got my own travel, I've got my 4, soon to be 5 dogs to look after, and my fitness goal. So it's really a lot to sort of balance. So I think the key thing is really to keep them alive and making sure that they are happy and thriving. If they do get big, that's a bonus.
Do you find that your collection is enough, or are you still on the hunt for more? Is there like a sustainable limit to what you could actually physically grow and manage?
I think space will always be a problem, and I mean, I'm not actively looking for anything, but I think whenever I do see something interesting, to add to the collection, I would try and find a way to try and get it. I mean, ultimately, I do feel that I'm a collector, right? So if you see anything that you find interesting and you want to add to your collection, it feels natural that you would do it.
And do you have any help?
No, I do most of the things myself, from the planting to the trimming, the maintenance, the sweeping. My helper does help me pack all the trimmings into bags. But other than that, I'm still the main sort of gardener at home.
I guess one of your tips for work-life hobby balance is to kind of set yourself a limit, give yourself a time of how much you actually want to dedicate to your hobby. Do you have a ballpark of how many hours a week that you are willing to spend on plants? And have you respected those boundaries yourself?
I wouldn't say willing, but to give you, I would say like currently, just based on current experience now, 1-2 hours a week.
That's very little for such a big collection.
Yeah. So it helps that they are quite self-sustaining. I think in dry seasons like now, I just need to ensure that they're not dried out and they're adequately watered.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't really have to do much. I mean, you have to remove the weeds, and that's something I really loathe doing because it takes up a lot of time, and because I have so many small potted plants and they're stacked up, and it just requires a lot of effort to remove them one by one and then remove the pots and remove the weeds. Yeah. So I usually leave that, till like a day when I get really, really fed up and like I need to de-stress.
Okay.
And then I'll do it. And I'll do it all in one shot, like one patch, and I'll just take everything out, redo it, reorganize everything, and then move on to another patch when I feel like I need to de-stress again.
So you seem to have an obsession with the Bromeliaceae family, like Dichias, Bromeliads, Tillandsias. Can you tell us more about it? Like why do you like them? Why should people like them?
So they're probably one of the most low maintenance plants to have and to grow. I think most bromeliads are epiphytes. They're quite happy just being tied to something or being put in a pot with fernwood fiber or any form of media that's pretty loose and free draining. The Dichias and the Hectias, these are the terrestrial bromeliads. They're even easier. You just got to give them quite a lot of direct sunlight, and they can take any amount of rain. I mean, even though they don't look tropical, they are actually very tropical plants. It's just the low maintenance, the fact that they are very structural, they come in all kinds of colors. They add a lot of texture and form to the garden, and it keeps it interesting.
So you're saying that they're probably one of the easier plants for in the garden. Would they do well indoors?
Not really. So most bromeliads they require quite a lot of direct sunlight in order for them to sort of bring out the best colors. Whether it's a terrestrial forms, definitely, because in habitat they are very, found in very exposed rocky areas. For the epiphytes, some of them are found deep in the jungle, so they can actually do better with shade. So Viriceas are a genus of bromeliads which are more shade-loving. But you generally find that the harder the leaf, the more sunlight it can take, and the harsher the conditions it can take.
Okay. Yeah. And I see one more obsession in your garden is with Costus.
Yeah.
They're in the ginger family.
Yes.
And I know that the ginger family is quite a popular plant type in Singapore. I think Singapore has an interesting, unique relationship with ginger plants. In the botanic gardens, it's one that is very, very much highlighted. What does it mean to you? What does this family mean to the Costus genus?
Okay, the ginger family is quite a big family of plants. One of the most popular sort of genus is the Heliconium. Yeah. And I think in botanic gardens, what they have a lot of is basically the Heliconium, right? Mm-hmm. Very nice family of plants to grow. Beautiful, very spectacular flowers, but it requires a lot of space.
Okay.
And it requires a lot of feeding in order for it to flower. The Costus, on the other hand, is a more understated sort of genus of the ginger family, commonly known as a spiraling ginger because the form of the Costus is generally spiraling.
Yeah.
It's very understated. It's mostly green, nice foliage, not free flowering as much. So it doesn't always flower.
Okay.
But when it does flower, then it produces very interesting, very spectacular, structural sort of flowers, right? In the shape of a cone. It could have different shapes, different colors. Why I like Costus is because it's so easy to grow. One of the easiest gingers. It's to propagate mostly by stem cuttings. So you literally just cut the stem, stick it in the soil, and then you get new ones growing. You can't do that with heliconias. You can't do that with zingibers. You can't do that with a lot of others because a lot of other gingers, you've got to grow them from rhizomes or seed.
Yeah.
Costus is one of the few that you can actually grow via stem cuttings.
You only seen Costus grown in gardens. Do they do well indoors?
Again, it's a debatable one. I think quite a lot of Costus are found in the jungles. They will thrive, but they do not necessarily flower. To encourage flowering, they seem to be better when they're grown in full sunlight.
In full sun?
Yeah.
Direct sunlight?
Yeah. I found that to be quite a revelation as well when I went to the botanic gardens and they grew large patches of Costus completely exposed in sunlight near the Swan Lake.
Nice.
And all of them were flowering, like free flowering. And I think it's because of the sunlight.
Okay, so they require constantly moist soil, is that correct, if they're in that kind of
Correct.
situation?
They will not thrive in very dry seasons. You find that the leaves are kind of droopy and they don't look, very much, they don't look happy generally if they're too dry. So coming back to your earlier question, can they be kept indoors? I would say yes, but in sort of brighter conditions. So in a balcony or anywhere near a window, they would do well, but they may not flower.
Okay, and you have made a hybrid and registered it.
So I have two hybrids, but they're not free-flowering hybrids. So right now they're not flowering, but I can show you plants later. Very easy to hybridize, but whether you succeed is a different story. Yeah. And then when you do manage to succeed and get seeds, it takes a really long time from seed to maturity and flowering.
Okay.
So it's a long, painstaking process, but it's the same for quite a lot of other plants, whether it's an anthurium or, tillandsias, which are even longer, or platyceriums. All of these takes a lot of patience.
We're in the front of the garden. This is primarily what, Dichias, or is it?
So primarily Dichias, and then you have some Hectias, Encolariums, Deuteroconias.
When I look at a plant that grows like this, I call them all pretty much Dichias, but they're not all Dichias.
No, they're not, yeah.
Can you quickly walk us through some of the major genuses?
So the biggest, most popular one will be Dichias.
Yeah.
Right, so everything you see here are more or less Dichias.
Okay.
Right. Then the red one and the green one, these are called Encolariums.
Encolariums?
Yeah.
Okay. And how are they different? The color is one.
So the flower would be different. Usually for a lot of plants, it's the flowers that sort of, would classify them into the different family of plants.
But are they even from the same region?
Pretty much. I think mostly South America, a lot of them from Brazil.
Okay.
It could be in Chile, Brazil, Bolivia, Peru. And then another genus would be Hectias, like this one here, Hectia lanata. And there's another one there. So Hectias are more green and silver. Most of them look the same way, although sometimes, given the weather and the right season, they do come up with pretty spectacular colors and they even have red dots on them. Okay. But you very seldom get that in Singapore. You need a really cool season.
Now, can these be hybridized with each other, or are they too different?
No, you can. So within the Bromeliad family, you can cross-hybridize them.
Okay.
Quite different from, say, Aroids, where you can't cross a monstera with a philodendron.
Yeah.
Here you can cross a philodendron, dickia with a hectea. for example.
Oh, wow. That's quite a party then. It's a lot of options out there.
A lot of options, which is why there are a lot of hybrids when it comes to bromeliads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And personally, for me, this is the best plants to put outdoors so it can keep the neighbors' kids away.
Yeah. I keep the kids away, keep stray animals away.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I ever move to a new place, I would not even bother with a fence. I would just grow these as along the sides.
A natural plant fence.
Yeah. And then these ones you see here, also Bromelia family, but they belong to the genus called Orthophytums. Orthophytums. So, firstly, their spines are not quite as lethal. Their leaves are a lot softer. Typically, they have a spike like this, where they flower, and then they produce offsets. Whereas bromeliads do not produce offsets at the top.
Flowers.
Dickia, sorry. These are the dickia seeds.
Yeah.
They just produce flowers, and then
So they self-pollinate it itself.
Yeah,
probably.
quite often they do self-pollinate.
Yeah. Interesting. And you have some Encephalartos.
Yeah.
Some
This is the Horridus, both Horridus. So this is the classic blue Encephalartos.
Yeah. Are they difficult to find in Singapore? Or?
Nowadays, no. You can go to the right sort of seller who has them.
They're grown from seed, right? They also give off offsets, if I'm not wrong.
They do.
Mature
They do
size.
produce offsets. When they're mature, especially this particular species, they do produce offsets that you can harvest. You can grow them by seed, but it takes a really, really long time.
A quick look at the whole garden. Let me zoom out. It's actually quite beautiful. There's like layers of bromeliads, and back there you have your Decaria madagascariensis, and some interesting. I don't even like. I would say
So these are trees. I call them xeric trees. So xeric being plants that require a lot less water, but not quite desert plants.
Yeah.
So these are commiphora. The species is monstrosa.
Okay.
So they do produce, this sort of zigzag, very similar to the Decaias.
Yeah. And what is this tall one there?
This is a euphorbia,
Not the euphorbia, not the pencil.
not
stick
the
cactus.
Turukali, which is the pencil cactus
Yeah.
that people talk about. It's a different species. Not many people know what it is. I've tried to go online to ask, in the euphorbia groups, and some say it could be a hybrid between two different similar-looking.
That is really cool. You have like a lot of these beautiful, like almost like leafless textures to trees, but you also have some lush green foliage tucked in between.
So I think one of the features of my gardening style is sort of to weave together different groups of plants.
Yeah.
And create layers and textures. So as you look up, a lot of the vines are at the back, flowering with the trees at the top.
Yeah. All those trees are yours, right? All these.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't be able to get a closer look at them from the garden down below. It's best to be admired from a bit further away.
Yeah.
But they provide shade, obviously, for shade-loving plants.
Correct.
I mean, this one, technically, it loves full sun.
Yeah, it's another Encephalartos.
Yeah. So what is this one? Do you know?
So this one is the Encephalartos limaniae. It is a very easy-growing blue cycad. So if anyone who wants to start off growing blue cycads, I would highly recommend this species because firstly, it stays blue throughout the year.
Yeah.
It can take quite a lot of water, so even in our monsoon season, it thrives pretty well. It has grown quite a lot. I mean, the caudex was much smaller when I first got it.
Yeah. So you consider this one of the faster growing ones?
Yeah.
And is this a little bit more affordable than the other?
Yes.
Okay.
Compared to other species. This one is more expensive, also because it's a lot rarer.
Yeah.
Also blue cycad, but not quite as blue as the limaniae. So this is the Nubi montanus. I'm not sure, I need to check again. It's one of the sort of top 10 rare cycads, blue cycads.
Okay.
Because of habitat loss and all that. So over here, you see a lot of other terrestrial broms. This is a good example of a deuteroconia. So deuteroconias have orange flowers compared to other oh, sorry, yellow flowers as compared to others. Like Dickeas have orange flowers or reddish flowers. This one comes up with yellow flowers.
But do they typically just all grow into this after like a very, very long time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this one's an interesting form of Deuteroconia because it sort of like spreads out. Usually they're very compact. So there are a lot more there, but they're all covered by weeds, which is a pain to remove because I can imagine if I have to de-weed them, I literally got to take each pot out, pull out the weeds, and end up with a lot of blood.
I guess, or if you are a Singapore viewer and you want to volunteer to pull out Russell's weeds, maybe.
Please call me. Do you know what this is?
I don't know what that is.
I had a good session with Irene on this. So this is a bromeliad.
Yeah.
It's a pineapple.
Oh, it's variegated pineapple.
Sort of variegated, but what's unique about it is the long droopy leaves because you don't see. So a typical pineapple plant would look a little bit more like this.
Correct.
But this form, it has its leaves draped all the way down, sort of like an air plant.
So, but yeah, is this just a hybrid, a cultivar, or is this an aberrant form of something?
Aberrant. It's a mutated form of the typical species that we eat, Ananas commosus. So they found this in Thailand and then they started propagating this form.
Yeah.
So this is the variegated form of Dillenia indica.
What is the Dillenia indica? What is it? Is it a fruiting plant? Is it?
It is more like a small tree. It does produce fruits, but they're not edible. Well, at least not to humans.
So it's completely just ornamental.
Completely ornamental.
Is it common here in Singapore?
Not really. It's not native. Unlike the other species, Dillenia fruticosa, that's native. That one, a lot of local Singaporeans would know.
Yeah.
Because it's especially army boys, because they use. It's called the CB leaf. Have you heard that?
No. What is it used for?
I mean,
What is the smirk?
It's CB leaf. It's also called sort of like the vagina leaf plant.
Okay.
Because when you open the leaf, it kind of looks like one.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, we'll see if I can find a photo. This here. This is a Dracaena. Circulosa or something? Milky Way? Is that what it is?
That's right.
But then the variegated form. I have the regular one, I think. This is so beautiful. It almost looks like a bamboo.
Yeah. It's like the bamboo Dracaena, right? The one
Is that what it's called?
which when it flowers is considered good luck, and sort of people tie red little ribbons to it.
And this one here actually called out to me earlier before because the sun was hitting it just right, and this one was glowing, the underside of the plant.
So this is commonly called the midnight ginger because of its color. It's actually native to Malaysia. The genus is Zingiber. Can't forget the Latin name for it, but commonly called the midnight ginger because of its, obviously because it's a dark glossy leaf.
Yeah.
And it will produce very striking orange flowers that appear basally.
Yeah. And I'm guessing this is a shade-loving plant. Pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
It is.
So this is a Certosperma.
Yeah.
The species is gigantum. Not very common.
Yeah.
And not very large here, but this is the largest form of Certosperma. So it gets a bit bigger than the regular Johnstonii.
Yeah. This is the.
And this was, came to me as a tiny little seedling.
Yeah.
And I probably need to change its pot to get it bigger.
Maybe. Oh, this smaller one is the pot
Yeah.
it's in. Yeah.
So this is the variegated form of the regular tiger orchid. Very nice, very striking.
It's a terrestrial type orchid, correct?
Well, actually tiger orchids are epiphytic, but you can actually grow them on the ground. I've seen them being grown on the ground.
Yeah, but for something like this, I would imagine, look at the trunk here. I would imagine it's...
So what NParks has done is to replant and introduce a lot of the regular forms on trees, like the rain trees that you see, and then they just drape down really gracefully.
That's pretty. And are the blooms...
So they would be variegated as well.
But is it pretty, the blooms they have?
It has never flowered. I'm hoping that it will.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a
Cordyline.
Cordylines.
Yeah.
You have some impressive ones. I saw two that I really like. These are very common, I guess, in Singapore.
These are common. So a lot of these cordylines that you see are actually, they were sold as cut flowers. And then I sort of, once I was done using them at home, I'd stick them in a pot, root them, and then I'll plant it in the ground.
Yeah.
So the good thing about cordylines is they can be propagated via stem cuttings.
Yes.
You can root them in water as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, very easy.
They're quite unstoppable, really, these guys.
Very underrated group of plants.
Yeah, and very good pop of color. That's the one, the second one that I saw. This is so beautiful, and it becomes dull and dark over time, I guess. This is the new leaf. Look at that. It's always putting out a new leaf. Like when one is unfurling, this is why they're like very, very fast growing.
Yeah.
This one looks like such a very complex oil painting vibes.
Another interesting one. This is another variegated banana with very narrow leaves. I think they call it. I think it's from Thailand.
Yeah.
And it's called jungle gem. I don't know if they've given it a new name. But its trade name is jungle gem.
Yeah.
Produces very small, inedible fruits.
The Brazilian form, right?
Yeah.
How is it different from the regular form?
Just the fenestrations is different.
Oh yeah.
They're also a lot more, they spread out more.
Yeah.
Compared to the regular form, which is a little bit more rounded.
That's cool.
It's more graceful in a way. Another form of Deliciosa, this is the Sirana.
Sarana.
Yeah, Sirana. So it's also very different. It would produce more fenestrations along the way, but it's one of the more uncommon forms of Deliciosa.
Yeah, and beautiful electrifying things in the middle. Now, when we talk about the fruit, the flower, everything's a deliciosa. It's just that they were maybe found in a different region, so the leaves are exhibiting different shapes.
Another form of deliciosa, but this is a mutated form.
Oh wait,
the underside.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's very different.
Oh, yeah. In the front, you can see some of that texture too. What is this one called? Do you know?
It's got no name. There was a seller who, had a whole batch of seeds, and this one came out in this way. So, he's been propagating it and selling them. So I like a lot of plants that have very interesting shapes, leaf shapes. So the Encephalartos, like this one.
What is this one called?
So I think it goes by a proper name now, but its trade name, it's called the Actinophylla sp. nova. Yeah, it is.
Hi, Irene.
Ready?
Yes. Say hi.
Hi.
In case you don't know, this is Irene from Leafing Around. We both filmed at Russell's today and her episode is up on her channel months ago, so make your way there to see more of Russell's garden after you're done with this one.
So this anthurium, it's like taller than you. How long
Yeah.
have you had it?
2 years, I think.
That's not very long at all.
Not very long. It's actually, I'm cheating. It's actually raised.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Interesting. I see that some of your plants are in pots.
Yep.
Not on grounds.
Yep.
Walk me through some reasoning.
So, it helps me, move them around.
Yeah.
So that if I'm it's part of the whole landscape, if I decide to move things around, it's a lot easier and less damaging for the plant,
Okay.
right? So, there's not too much of uprooting involved. And yeah, putting it in pots, if I want them raised, I can just put them on stands.
Okay.
So as to create, again, different levels, different textures.
Do you find that you move your pots often or really?
Not really. I mean, once I find that the right space for it, like here,
Yeah.
these have been here since day one.
Yeah.
I've not moved them. Then it's fine.
Interesting. Most people would just ground them, but then again, when you ground everything, they're gonna size up too fast, too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is crazy. So all these plants, even like the trees, we won't be able to look up too much in this episode. We're gonna look at once now, but these are all your trees. You have palms, you have like various
Yep.
different trees here.
And every tree would have some form of aroid climbing.
Climbing up. And I see you've got like Dischidias, And you've got like different mid-level.
Onions and big bills and
Yeah.
and I like hanging plants. So you see, hang the vitarifoliums.
Yeah.
I just
Hang on
like.
one second. Hello, little one. Hello. Hi. Itty bitty teeny tiny. Hi. So your dogs are all rescued.
Yep.
And I was chatting earlier that they have some sort of tragic past with their previous owners for the most part.
So these two, this one and the black one, they are ex-breeding dogs.
Yeah.
So
Sad.
their sole role was to breed for puppies. They're sold at puppy mills.
Yeah.
So they're kept in very tiny, small spaces, mostly cages.
Yeah.
You know, so like for basically 4 or 5 years of their life.
Oh my gosh. And then I heard that they were about to be put down if nobody was going to adopt them.
So this one, no, but the fifth one that's still in Korea, that one was about to be put down. So I recently just adopted a dog from South Korea.
Oh wow.
She's still there.
Yeah. in Korea.
We're sort of making the necessary arrangements to ship her over, but she was about to be put down.
Oh man. They're so lovely. My gosh, this one is.
I mean, they have a host of defects. Like you can see, she's limping.
Yeah.
It's the effect of being kept in a cage for too long.
Oh man.
So she doesn't get exercise, and they end up having some deformities.
Yeah, and for those of you watching, I know this is not a dog channel, but if you're gonna get a pet dog, try to adopt if you can, because a lot of the purebred dogs
Yeah.
are not bred sustainably, and a lot of harm goes to the mothers.
And if you have to buy a dog, buy from a reputable breeder. The good thing about reputable breeders is they actually respect the breeding cycle of a dog. They don't. It's not like they're forcing them to breed all the time.
Okay.
So they actually have proper rest periods, and they're actually kept in proper sort of areas. Unlike, it's like chickens, right?
Yeah.
Free range chicken or battery caged up
Okay.
chicken.
Yeah, that's correct. So sometimes I guess if you give the dog room to walk around, roam around, we walk them, you exercise them, and then you have a plan for their end of life. Because some of these dogs, they were just bred and then kind of put aside, and there's no really a good exit strategy, so to say,
Yeah.
for them. But anyways, and do the chickens leave your plants alone?
Most of the plants, I think they only pack the ones that are within reach.
Okay.
But even then, I think there are too many for them to sort of keep attacking the same one.
So this is a very crammed room back here. Tell me what's in this room, because I don't know if we can.
So this is the area that I commonly call the cage, because it kind of looks like one.
Yeah.
When I moved into this place, I had specifically had this built with sort of like a greenhouse nursery in mind.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was mainly for bromeliads and for succulents. And then obviously, as I moved to different groups of plants, I realized that, okay, it's not great for succulents because you don't get a lot of light.
Yeah.
Not that great for bromeliads for the same reason. But you know what? Excellent for shade-loving plants.
Oh yes, and they have their own ecosystem here of humidity and everything.
Yeah, so I've installed sort of water sprinklers that help, with the regular sort of watering and just the right amount of light. Although, depending on the time of year, the sun shifts. Like towards the end of the year, we get far less sunlight compared to the middle part of the year.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, they do pretty well. And every now and then, I have to go up to the roof and sweep off the leaves.
Oh yeah, those leaves way up there. Be careful. Oh yeah. And this is a Hoya that's about to bloom. Hello.
Yeah, this is interesting Hoya because it has long leaves.
Yeah. Is this like a kind of Leah that is interesting, or is it just like?
It's a kind of Leah. I don't know the exact name for it.
Yeah, but it's very different, right? Is it a little more coppery, or is it just not feeling
It is different from, say, the other one there. Yeah.
Yeah, and some Campharia here that's variegated.
The Thais call it black pink.
Yeah, oh, cute. And I think I've seen this all over Instagram, and I don't understand why. I told some Indonesian buyers, please bring them into Indonesia, but no one did. So maybe someone did by now, I'm not sure, but beautiful. And this is a variegated Amorphophallus.
Yep.
You have a lot of treasure in here. I'm glad we stepped in. This is a kind of Leah.
Yep.
That is, do you know what the name is? It's very snowy. Snowy white.
I forgot.
Not Zippeliana, not the friend.
I think it's the Zippeliana.
It is?
Yeah.
But this is very frosty.
So they're quite variable. I've seen quite a lot of different versions of it.
Oh yeah. And then of course, this here, this is actually very stunning.
That's the Wen.
What is it?
Wenlingeri.
When lingering, what is the genus?
Anthurium. Oh, you mean this one?
This one, yes.
Oh,
not
sorry.
this one.
This one, it's an Adisia from Vietnam.
Okay.
We don't really know the exact sort of
Name for it.
species name for it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's got very nice foliage.
Yeah. Well, and this is a beautiful Anthurium leaf as well.
So this is one of the dot block hybrids, but you can see I've had some form of pests recently.
Yeah. So, by the way, follow Journey Through Paradise, the Instagram, because there are a lot of really beautiful cinematic shots of plants. Because there are all these pockets of light that come in here and hit the plants just nice with the light. And Russ does a good job in capturing those moments. And I just found out yesterday that Russ doesn't use a DSLR. It's all
iPhone.
okay.
iPhone should pay me.
I know, my gosh, it's not sponsored, but should be.
Yeah.
I'm actually filming this on the iPhone as well. So maybe Apple contact us.
Please
Yeah. Yeah.
give us the new iPhone.
iPhone 15 Pro.
Max.
This is
So the Drinaria.
Corsifolia.
Yeah.
Very good. Cute. And they will all put out these shields and this fuzzy stuff.
This is so the big bill. There are two versions. There's a Thai version, which is this, and then there's the US version.
How do they differ? What do you...
So the Thai version of big bill is not the actual big bill, because the big bill hybrid is pendifolium and can't remember what the other species is.
Yeah.
The Thai ones, they use pendifolium and another species called Bromeliaceae.
Okay.
So this is the one. But what I like is the fact that they self-pollinate. And, see, they're
Cool.
all producing seeds.
That's cool. What do you do with them?
So I will germinate them and then usually just sell them for cheap.
Okay.
I've had a first batch that already sold off last year.
Really, with your like 2 hour a week plant schedule, can you?
I had more time last year. It's Clarinervium.
Yeah. Is it the? It's not the regular Clarinervium. This is something, no?
So it's one of the earliest anthuriums I bought. It's not the regular one.
Yeah, it's like I forgot the name.
It looks like what they are selling as the Queen of Hearts or something like that.
Or the, yeah, or
not
King Clarin. I don't know. I'm not.
No, not the King. The King one is a lot more heart-shaped.
Okay.
This is also a cycad. These two. So these are green cycads.
Okay.
And this one has a tree frog on it.
Oh, where is it?
Yeah.
Oh, hello.
So I get quite a lot of tree frogs in this garden. And during the day, they're like very sleepy, so it's not very responsive.
So these are like tropical cycads because they're in the shade, in humidity.
Correct. So they're mainly found in like southern China and Vietnam.
I might have featured this one in my one of my Taiwan cafe tours, but it's a much larger specimen.
Yeah, probably.
This can get huge, right? And this here, this is insane. This is a fern.
Yeah, they call it the elephant's foot fern.
But look at all these beautiful spores that has lined itself up beautifully. Is this the Angiopteris avecta? Oh, yeah. I've actually got one, but I do not want mine to size up like this. My whole house will not fit this plant.
Yeah, I mean the base is quite big. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's another interesting one. It's actually a Rhaphidophora megaphylla. So it's found mainly in Laos, and it's very unusual, very rare.
Cute. It's got this beautiful outline.
Yeah.
And this one particularly in my hand, I like it because it's asymmetrical.
Yep.
Very cute.
And I've seen them in the wild when I went to Laos.
Yeah.
And the leaves are this big.
But brown still.
Brown. Very, very cute. Got it as a two-leafer plant before the aroid craze, and
But I can see like not your collection is not dominantly aroid like most people's.
no.
And there's some hanging. Are these lingeries as well?
So these are mainly pendulifoliums,
Pendifolium.
pseudospectobile, pendifolium, pendulifolium.
Okay. So this is the JT Stardust,
Yes.
and what the hybrid of Acergra cambali, and there's a visitor there. Hi.
Another tree fern, four-line tree fern is what we call it.
Cute. Yeah. And I guess we have toured most things. I mean, it's impossible to get through it in a day, but I gotta let Russ go. He's got things to do. Thank you so much for having us in your garden and sharing your experience.
You're most welcome.
And yeah, I guess I'll see everyone in the next episode. And please do give him a follow if you want to see some beautiful cinematic plants and some interesting plant posts. Russell does write some nerdy bits of information on the plants that he posts, so you can learn more. All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.